My parents confessed, "We're aware you covered our $500,000 medical debt and saved us from bankruptcy. But you're still not part of this family anymore." So I nodded calmly and contacted the hospital to reverse the charitable donation classification, which made the full debt with penalties returned to their names. Before we begin, take a moment to subscribe, say hello below, and tell us where you're watching from. Your support truly means everything. Let's continue. I stood in my parents' living room, hands trembling, staring at the faces I'd known my entire life. My mother sat on the cream sofa, her expression cold as winter concrete. My father stood by the fireplace, arms crossed, eyes refusing to meet mine. My older sister Lydia lounged in the armchair, smirking like she'd won some twisted lottery. "We appreciate what you did, Alina," Mom said, her voice flat. "The medical bills, the bankruptcy thing. That was generous." Generous. The word tasted like poison in the air between us. $500,000. 6 months of my life spent liquidating my savings, cashing out my retirement, taking loans I'd be repaying until I was 50. All because Dad's heart surgery and Mom's cancer treatment had destroyed them financially. "But we need to be honest," Dad continued, finally looking at me. "You've never really fit into this family. Your choices, your lifestyle, the way you think you're better than us." My breath caught. "Better than you? I just saved your house." "See," Lydia interjected, sitting forward. "That right there. Always throwing things in our faces. Always making everything about money." I'd driven 4 hours through rain to have this conversation. They called me, said they needed to discuss something important. I'd imagined gratitude, maybe even tears of relief. "Dad, I got this." "We're cutting ties," Mom said simply. Cleanly. "You're not part of this family anymore." The grandfather clock ticked in the silence. Outside I heard children laughing. Inside I felt something fundamental shatter. The patterns had always been there, woven through my childhood like poison threads I'd pretended were just different colored yarn. Lydia got the bigger bedroom, the new clothes, the college fund. I got hand-me-downs and part-time jobs starting at 14. "You're so independent, Alina," Mom would say, like it was a compliment instead of an excuse. I remembered being 12, watching Lydia open birthday presents while I got a card with $20 inside. "We spent more on her because she's older," Dad had explained, though my 13th birthday 3 months later brought the same card, same amount, no party. But I'd survived. Thrived even. Scholarship to college. Marketing degree. Climbed the corporate ladder until I was making 6 figures by 32. I'd done it all alone, never asking them for anything. Then Dad's heart attack happened last year. Lydia called me crying. "They're going to lose everything. The hospital bills, the mortgage, Mom's cancer treatments. They need us." The word felt foreign. "How much has your business contributed?" I'd asked. She ran a boutique that barely broke even. "This isn't about keeping score," she'd snapped. But I contributed anyway. Wrote check after check. Negotiated with hospitals. Set up payment plans. Found charity programs. Spent my Saturdays filling out financial assistance forms instead of living my life. I'd even gotten the debt reclassified as a charitable donation through a program I'd discovered, which forgave most of it. I'd saved them. And now, standing in their living room, I understood the truth. I'd never mattered at all. If this story resonates with you, please like and subscribe. Your support means everything. Why? The question came out smaller than I intended. I straightened my spine, tried again. "Why now? After everything?" Mom's jaw tightened. "This isn't sudden, Alina. We've been discussing it for months. Months. While I was on the phone with hospital administrators. While I was signing loan documents. While I was lying awake at night calculating how to make their problems disappear. What did I do wrong? I needed to understand, even though part of me already knew there was no good answer." Lydia laughed, actually laughed. "Oh my God, you really don't see it, do you? You've always acted like you're superior. Going to your fancy job, living in your expensive apartment, never visiting unless we beg." "I was here every weekend during Dad's recovery," I said slowly. "I brought groceries. I drove Dad to appointments. I hired the nurse for Mom's chemotherapy days." "Exactly," Dad said, and I blinked at the venom in his voice. "Throwing money at problems. never just being present. My mind reeled. I'd taken vacation days. I'd missed important meetings. My boss had warned me about my distracted performance. I'd almost lost a major client because I was too busy saving my parents from financial ruin. I don't understand, I whispered. Of course you don't, Mom said, standing up. You never understood this family. Lydia understands. She values what matters. Connection, loyalty, being there emotionally. Not just writing checks. The irony burned. Without my checks they'd be homeless. There's something else, Lydia said, glancing at our parents. We might as well tell her. My stomach dropped. There was more. Dad cleared his throat. Lydia and her husband are expanding their business. They need capital and we've decided to take out a loan against the house to help them. The house. The house I'd saved. The house that would have been foreclosed without me, I said, numbness creeping into my voice. It's our house, Mom said sharply. We can do what we want with it. But we knew you'd judge us for helping Lydia, so we figured it's better to just end this charade now. The charade. 34 years of being their daughter was a charade. Lydia's business is struggling, I said carefully. You're going to risk your home again? See. Lydia stood up, pointing at me. This is exactly what we're talking about. You think you know everything. My business is fine. We're expanding. But you can't handle that I might be successful without your help. I looked at her, really looked. The designer purse probably fake. The jewelry too flashy to be real. The desperation behind her eyes. You're jealous, I said, the realization hitting me. You've always been jealous. Jealous. Lydia's voice rose. Of what? Your lonely life? Your obsession with money? Please. That's enough, Dad said. Alina, we need you to leave. We've said what we needed to say. I stood there, suspended between disbelief and heartbreak. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tight my knuckles went white. Rain hammered the windshield, matching the chaos in my head. 4 hours stretched ahead of me, 4 hours alone with thoughts I didn't want to think. I'd made it 30 minutes before I had to pull over at a rest stop, hands shaking too badly to drive safely. Sitting in my car watching truckers come and go, I let myself feel it. Not just hurt, devastation. Complete cellular-level devastation. My phone buzzed. Lydia's name flashed on the screen. Don't make this harder than it needs to be, her text read. Just accept it and move on. We'll return anything of yours that's at the house. Anything of mine. I scrolled through my mind trying to remember what I'd left there. Photo albums from childhood? Already took them years ago, sensing they weren't safe. Belongings? I'd been living independently since 18. There was nothing there that was mine except DNA and wasted love. Another text from Lydia. Also, don't try to turn other relatives against us. This is between us. Other relatives. I thought of Aunt Carol, my mother's sister, who'd always treated me kindly. Uncle James, who'd slipped me money for college textbooks. Grandma Ruth before she passed, who told me I reminded her of herself. My phone rang. Aunt Carol. Baby, what happened? Her voice was warm, concerned. Your mama just called me with some story about you being disrespectful and ungrateful. That doesn't sound like you. I started to cry, then really cry, and told her everything. Aunt Carol listened without interrupting, and when I finished, her sigh carried years of knowing. Alina, honey, I've watched this your whole life. Your mama and daddy did you wrong, but maybe this is the freedom you needed. Freedom. The word felt absurd. From trying to earn love that was never going to be given freely. Your mama's been competing with you since you were 16 and prettier than she was at that age. Your daddy never forgave you for being smarter than him. And Lydia? Baby, Lydia's been afraid of you since you got that scholarship she didn't qualify for. The words landed like puzzle pieces I'd been missing. I have other things to tell you, Aunt Carol continued. Your daddy borrowed $20,000 from me 3 years ago, said it was for home repairs. I saw Lydia wearing a new diamond bracelet the next month. Your mama told the family you were too busy for them when you missed Christmas, but I remember you called me that year, crying, saying they'd uninvited you because Lydia didn't want you there. Each revelation was a key, unlocking memories I'd tried to rationalize away. They've been rewriting history about you for years, Aunt Carol said gently. Making you the villain in their story so they could be victims. I should have said something sooner. I'm sorry. What do I do now? I asked. What do you want to do? I thought about the hospital paperwork I'd signed, the charitable donation classification I'd worked so hard to obtain. I thought about the medical debt that had been forgiven, how I'd personally guaranteed some of it. I want to stop being their safety net, I said. Monday morning I sat across from Miranda Wilson, the attorney who'd helped me set up my estate planning last year. She listened to my story with the focused intensity of someone who'd seen family warfare before. Let me understand this correctly, she said, leaning forward. You personally facilitated the debt reclassification as charitable donation through a nonprofit assistance program? Yes. I found a program that helps families facing medical bankruptcy. I did all the paperwork, provided the documentation of hardship, even made additional donations to the nonprofit to show good faith. The hospital agreed to forgive most of the debt and reclassify what remained. Miranda nodded slowly. And you were listed as the family representative on these applications? I was the primary contact for everything. They gave me power of attorney during Dad's surgery because they were too overwhelmed to handle the administrative side. She made notes, her pen scratching across paper. Alina, I need to be clear about something. What you're considering, it's legal but it's nuclear. Once you do this, there's no going back. They told me I'm not their daughter anymore, I said quietly. There's nothing to go back to. Miranda studied my face. The charitable classification was granted based on information you provided about their hardship and inability to pay. If that classification is revoked because circumstances have changed, say they're now using their home equity for other purposes, the original debt with penalties and interest would be reinstated. 500,000 could become 700,000 or more with penalties. How long do I have to decide? I asked. The status can be challenged within 18 months of approval. You're at month 7. That evening, wine glass in hand, I scrolled through Facebook. Something I rarely did. Lydia had posted. So grateful for parents who support our dreams. New business venture launching soon. Family is everything. #blessed, #family first, #new beginnings. The photo showed Lydia with our parents all smiling. Dad's arm around her shoulders. Mom beaming with pride. The caption made my stomach turn. Comments rolled in. Your family is so beautiful. Congratulations. What wonderful parents you have. I clicked on Lydia's profile, something stopping me from closing the app. More posts. Pictures of family dinners I hadn't been invited to. Holiday celebrations I'd been excluded from. All recent, all while I was helping with their medical crisis. One post from 4 months ago. Family game night. So blessed to have parents who prioritize quality time. For months ago, I'd been at a hospital negotiating Dad's billing. My cousin Rachel had commented, "Where's Alina?" Lydia's reply, "She's too busy with work stuff. You know how she is. Too busy saving their financial lives," I thought bitterly. I found myself typing a response to Lydia's new post, then deleting it. Then typing again. Delete. Type. Delete. Finally, I closed the app and called my best friend Nicole. I need an outside perspective, I told her. Am I crazy for what I'm considering? Alina, Nicole said carefully, I've bitten my tongue about your family for 10 years. You want my real opinion? Please. Burn it down. They deserve everything that's coming. Have you ever been the scapegoat? Comment below. This community supports you. The breaking point came on Tuesday during my lunch break. I was eating a salad at my desk when my phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Lawson? This is Bethany from Riverside Medical Center Billing Department. We have some questions about the Lawson family account you managed. My heart rate spiked. What kind of questions? We received a call from a Lydia Ellis, claiming to be the daughter of Richard and Linda Lawson. She was inquiring about converting some of the forgiven debt back into a payment plan to establish credit for a business loan. She mentioned you might have made errors in the hardship application. My vision went red. Errors. She suggested you may have exaggerated their financial situation. We take fraud very seriously, Miss Lawson. I'm calling to verify the information you provided was accurate at the time of submission. Lydia was trying to frame me for fraud while simultaneously trying to manipulate the forgiven debt to her advantage. Every piece of information I provided was completely accurate, I said, my voice shaking with fury. I have documentation for everything. Bank statements, mortgage papers, medical bills, all of it. We'll need to see that documentation, Bethany said. Miss Ellis was quite insistent that there were irregularities. After I hung up, I sat staring at my computer screen. Lydia wasn't just satisfied with cutting me out. She was actively trying to destroy my credibility, possibly my career. If accusations of fraud stuck, I could lose my job, face legal consequences. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out the folder I'd kept. Every document, every receipt, every signed form from my parents. Then I called Miranda Wilson. They just escalated, I told her. We need to move forward. Now. Miranda worked fast. By Thursday we had everything prepared. The letter to Riverside Medical Center outlined how circumstances had materially changed since the charitable classification was approved. My parents were now using their home equity, the asset we'd saved, for non-essential business investment rather than medical necessity. The nonprofit program has specific guidelines, Miranda explained over the phone. Charitable forgiveness is meant for families who genuinely cannot pay and need assistance to survive. Your parents are now leveraging their saved assets for profit-seeking ventures. That violates the spirit and letter of the program's requirements. What happens when we submit this? The hospital reviews it. Given that you were the primary applicant and coordinator, and given Lydia's call questioning the application's validity, they'll likely investigate. When they see your parents are financially stable enough to invest in business ventures, they'll revoke the charitable status. The original debt plus administrative penalties for the reclassification process, plus accumulated interest will be reinstated. I thought about Mom's cold eyes. Dad's dismissive voice. Lydia's smirk. Send it, I said. Friday afternoon Miranda called back. It's done. The hospital received our documentation. They've opened a formal review. I estimate 2 to 3 weeks before they make a determination, but given the evidence, the outcome is virtually certain. I sat in my apartment looking out at the city skyline, feeling nothing. No triumph. No satisfaction. Just a hollow ache where my family used to be. My phone buzzed. Aunt Carol. Whatever you're planning, baby, make sure it's what you really want. Revenge feels good in the moment, but it's you who has to live with it. It's not revenge, I said softly. It's consequences. 23 days later, Dad called me for the first time since that living room conversation. I was at a coffee shop working on a presentation when his name flashed on my screen. I let it ring twice before answering. You destroyed us, he said, no greeting. What you did, I didn't think even you could be this vindictive. I have no idea what you're talking about, I said calmly, though my heart was hammering. The hospital. The debt. $760,000, Alina. They say circumstances changed, that we misrepresented our financial situation. We could go to jail for fraud. Did you misrepresent anything? I asked. You know we didn't. You filed all that paperwork. I filed accurate paperwork based on your situation at the time. If circumstances changed after that, perhaps you should have notified the hospital. Silence. Then, Lydia's business loan fell through because of this. The bank saw we have massive medical debt again. She's going to lose everything she worked for. That's unfortunate, I said and meant it. Not for Lydia, but for the situation's sad inevitability. We're your parents, Dad said, his voice breaking. How could you do this to us? You disowned me, I replied quietly. You told me I wasn't part of the family. You cut me out while I was still signing papers to save you. Lydia tried to accuse me of fraud to benefit her business scheme. What exactly did you think would happen? We didn't mean, it wasn't supposed to be like this. What wasn't supposed to be like this? You weren't supposed to face consequences? I wasn't supposed to defend myself. The next 3 weeks were chaos. I watched from a distance like a storm I was no longer standing in. Aunt Carol kept me updated, though I asked her not to. Your daddy had another small heart episode from the stress, she told me. He's okay, but Alina, the whole family's taking sides. Half think you were right to protect yourself. Half think you went too far. What do you think? I asked. I think you were backed into a corner and came out swinging. I think they made their choices, and choices have consequences. But baby, I also think you're grieving and you're not letting yourself feel it. He was right. I was functioning on autopilot. Work, home, sleep, repeat. My performance reviews were excellent. My apartment was immaculate. Inside, I was shattered glass held together by routine. Lydia left me a voicemail, drunk and crying. I hope you're happy. Mom's talking about selling the house anyway because she can't handle the stress. Dad's on new heart medication. You've literally killed our family over money. Over your ego. I always knew you were selfish, but this is evil, Alina. You're evil. I saved the voicemail, not sure why. Nicole came over one evening, found me staring at photo albums from childhood. Me at age 6, gap-toothed and grinning. Lydia beside me, already knowing she was the favored one. Parents in the background, smiling at the camera but not at me. You're looking for evidence you mattered, Nicole said gently. You won't find it in pictures that lie. I just wanted them to love me, I whispered, finally crying. That's all I ever wanted. 6 months after everything imploded, I found myself writing a letter I knew I'd never send. But I needed to say the words, even if only to myself, even if only to finally let them go. Dear Mom, Dad, and Lydia. You'll never read this, but I need to write it. Not for you, for me. To close a door I've been standing in for 34 years, hoping you'd pull me through instead of slamming it in my face. I forgive you, but not because you deserve it. Because I deserve peace. I forgive the birthdays you forgot, the achievements you minimized, the love you gave conditionally. I forgive Lydia for being the golden child she never asked to be, then weaponizing that position against me. I forgive Dad for seeing me as a disappointment despite becoming everything he said I should be. I forgive Mom for competing with her own daughter instead of celebrating her. You wanted me gone and now I am. Completely. The debt you face now isn't revenge. It's simply the removal of my protection. I was your shield and you threw me away. Now you face what I saved you from. I won't be at future family gatherings I wouldn't have been invited to anyway. I won't send cards that would go unacknowledged. I won't call on holidays to hear silence or excuses. I release you. Not with anger anymore, but with profound sadness for what we could have been. I had enough love for all of us. You just never wanted mine. Goodbye. I folded the letter and placed it in a box with old photos, baby shoes, report cards with gold stars that never earned hugs. Then I drove to Aunt Carol's house and left the box with her. If they ever ask about me, I told her, tell them I'm happy. Even if I'm not yet. I will be. She hugged me tight, tears in her eyes. You're going to be more than happy, baby. You're going to be free. I drove away as sunset painted the sky in shades of ending and beginning. My phone buzzed with a text from a new number. Hi, this is Sarah from the hospital charity program. Your story inspired me to leave my toxic family too. Thank you for showing me it's possible to choose yourself. I hope you're healing. I pulled over and cried, not from sadness this time but from recognition. My pain had meaning. My story might help someone else survive their own. That evening, sitting alone in my apartment that finally felt like home rather than hiding place, I realized something. I'd spent my whole life trying to earn a place in a family that had no space for me. Now I had the chance to build something different. Not a family of blood but a family of choice. People who valued me not for what I could give but for who I was. It wasn't the ending I wanted. It was brutal and sad and achingly real. But maybe, in the wreckage of what was, I could finally build what should have been. A life where I was enough simply because I existed. The grandfather clock had stopped ticking in that living room months ago. But mine was just starting. Thank you for watching. If this story touched you, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, you are worthy of love that doesn't require payment. You are enough. And sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is walk away from people who will never see your worth. Please subscribe for more real stories about healing, boundaries, and finding yourself. Drop a comment about your experience. This community is here for you. You're not alone.